This vaporwave palette should tell you all by now that we are in subscription season. Yes, podcasts make money, and so to keep up with other podcasts, we now have to do a little thing called development and fundraising and grant writing if you want to make a public good out of this. And that means compliance and working with city departments. Don't let this happen. Instead, get you some products from these our sponsors who will be sprinkled throughout the podcast. The Divine Dumpling Show Hard Talk. Fast rules. Harsh consequences will show your effect. Some rat-a-tat-a-tat-tas by Joe Boombop. Quietish, and then it simmers down to let the host speaks morning old. Not plus nos, Russian and I off in the studio today. Great to have them here, but first, so I was driving on the 405 today, and when I got out of my car near the off-ramp to check my tires like I do at the end of a freeway session, this person pulled over and... I'm not prejudiced or anything, but they were one of them, alright? Those of you who laughed just now, whatever was on the top of your head when I said that, that's your racism. You're welcome. So we've got Knockers Nost on the show. But before we go to them, I gotta tell you about this Fandies deal. Fandies just sent me a pack of Fandies, and oh man, look at these things. Oh, yeah, what am I talking about? I mean the ad. Look how pretty the packaging is. So this weekend I took these bad boys for a spin around town, and honestly I could wear underwear that looks like this every day because wow, are they soft as a cloud. And yes, I may have put these under some pads where I shouldn't have been putting any clothes at all, just ask the fine folks at but no one was looking up there anyway, right? Fandies. Complete profile of those who previously wore them. And now Knockbus Nost is here, and we'll talk to them. Get into it more after the break. Okay, so I can't believe this, but it's actually happening. The Slimmer Shapewear Conference is coming to our backyard. No joke. Yesterday I heard from my old friend John, who works for the La Convention Center. Apparently an anonymous benefactor has offered to fund the conference if they give him a free block of rooms in exchange for hosting the event in one of their larger venues next year. I don't know much about it, but apparently they have a list of speakers and a panel discussion on how fat women have come out of the shadows and started businesses like Women and Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle website group, which means we're going to be getting all sorts of fat people at this thing. The whole deal sounds very weird to me, but you never know what will happen at conventions. Maybe this will make them stop trying to pass laws to control our bodies. That would be nice. I was talking about this to a couple of friends last night, and they reminded me of something else. The idea that the city should run conferences or meetings or anything related to business or government. This was always done by private companies and organizations before the pandemic. Now that things are shut down and everyone is working from home, there is no reason the city of Los Angeles can't handle things like this instead. So I just wrote a letter asking Mayor Eric Garcetti to use his power as mayor to create a task force for dealing with conventions like these. I'm not sure he'll do it, but I figured I'd try just in case. So check your mailbox later today for my letter. But first, Sleepy Alpacas, you love them, right? They are now cheaper. Right now on Amazon Prime, you can get them for less than $3 per pound. What is this world coming to? Okay. So maybe they aren't so cheap after all if you need 3 dozen of them, because then they cost over $100 to ship, and we're supposed to pay those shipping charges too. But seriously though, it's like a steal at that price. I mean, the fact that they even sell alpaca sleep sacks tells me everything I needed to know about our society, that it values the comfort of sleeping animals above human beings. I've heard some people say that since the alpaca sleep sack doesn't keep humans warm enough to survive without their blankets, that they might as well buy woolen ones. Oh, yeah, 'cause it would be better for them. But don't worry, you guys, I bought them and I'm wearing them, and yes, I have survived, and here I am telling you all about how great these things are. You should buy some for yourselves. Now this next product comes from a new company called Sniffles. The founder of this company sent me an email recently saying how much she enjoyed listening to the show and asked if I wanted to try out her new line of perfume oils, which come in two sizes. A 3-liter glass bottle, which retails for $24, or the 2-ounce travel size, which costs $12. I thought it was an interesting idea, so I picked one up and tried it out today, and I gotta say I'm really digging it so far. I've been using my body wash and shampoo lately, but I still need to replace my cologne and also my soap bar. You know what's funny? We never talk about how expensive this stuff is on the show. We talk about our sponsors all the time, but we rarely bring it back to us, listeners. What's that? Side piece for your side hatch? Yeah, okay. No. Don't send me any more of that crap. Please stop sending me those emails and letters telling me that a lady needs something to hold on to when she does number one. Look, I've got a nice towel by my bed. That's good enough. If you can find a way to put your junk in a container without a lid, then you can give it a whirl too. Just because you have trouble keeping the toilet seat down doesn't mean the rest of us want you stinking up our bathrooms with some kind of scented deodorizer. So thanks for trying, but it wasn't working for me. Anyway, Sniffle smells great. It has notes of pear, lemon, and lime, and its opening is like an apple slice soaked in gasoline, which makes sense if you remember the story about a guy who went out to get gas and set himself on fire after he mixed up his oil and fuel and spilled them into the tank of his car while filling it. The official report said the mix was about 50-50. I'm guessing Sniffles isn't quite as potent as that mixture was, so I don't think there will be any explosions, but maybe don't pour it over your thorough waking mattress. And now we're gonna go right ahead and end the show here so I can go take a nap before I head off to work. See you later. Hello again, listeners. This is Devin, and today we are doing something very different than normal. We normally have our sponsors lined up from week to week to promote their products or services on our show. This time, though, we decided instead to use this time of the year to bring our friends together, and for that reason, we've asked several of our friends on the show to share with you what they've been enjoying during these last few months of lockdown. Otto from UK swears by the Noob Sifter. I bought it online, says Harlow, and you know what? They were selling out all over the place, so it must be a real deal. That's good enough for me. He's also giving us his honest review of it in case anyone wants one too. Arlo's co-host Tristan is back next week, so make sure to send him your questions for his guest segment and maybe you'll get featured on the show too. Speaking of which, here is another chance to ask Devin about any personal business he would like to get off his chest. As always, if you like what we do on this show, please consider supporting us through Patreon. Thanks. And as always, keep being awesome, stay safe, and don't forget to wash those hands. Devin, I got my package, and I just gotta tell you that I was blown away when I opened it. There was not only a shirt that I ordered, but 2 shirts. Now, I already had a hoodie, but it was really warm at home today, so the thought of having a couple more was great. But then the other thing was inside the box with the extra t-shirt. Then, it's okay, Ben. We're going in right now so I can answer your question. Devin T. Thank goodness. Well, listen, I want to thank you for taking such good care of me on this show. I'm doing pretty well right now, but this pandemic has changed everyone in our lives. My son is living with my wife full time and she doesn't have to go into work anymore, so she hasn't been getting much sleep. So I've taken over her shift, and even though they pay me way less than she used to make, it helps and it's nice to feel needed. What is the Noob Sifter? Well, let me tell you. It's a little gadget that filters all the crud out of your water. You take the filter and put it down the kitchen sink while filling up the pitcher, or whatever container you plan on using for your water. Then you fill that up from your tap. The moment you start pulling your drinking cup under the water stream coming from the faucet, the filter catches any particles from the air from entering your cup or bottle. It also gets rid of any chlorine taste from your water if you are worried about that kind of stuff. Although I don't know how many people worry about that sort of thing these days since we aren't supposed to be bathing anyway. But with Noob Sifter, you'll never have to. You know what? I am happy to help. What color do you like? Oh, and Ben, if I can say this, I think I would like you a lot better if I knew you were not only supporting the show financially but making sure it stays alive by purchasing merchandise and asking for more things like this to be brought on the show. I would appreciate it so very much. Devon T. Well, it's easy. I prefer black because it's more slimming and stylish. I was actually wearing one of my new shirts earlier, and my girlfriend commented on it and said she thought I looked hot in it. Did you just have some work to do with the next sentence? You just typed away so fast. No, that's okay, Ben. I can let that part go as long as you help me. We are going to run a cheap outfit, but what exactly is your asking price on a noob sifter for everyone? Like, you can't just run around online looking for one that you like and buying it. Don't tell me the site I link in my head is for your product. You bought the 2 t-shirt package. Just for fun, I can still give you the name of someone over the weekend to go pick up from. And now we have a new sponsor, Slurm. Like you always tell me at the show. We love working for you. Get paid through the comfort of your own home in as little as 5 minutes. Slurm.com/double for 30 seconds only. Code in double for another 20% off. Don't want to pay your workers that often, but maybe your bookkeeper can justify your checking account. Don't forget the tip on the credit card too, because the staff there is all staring at you as you think about doing just that. So back to our review. Once you order Noob Sifter, it doesn't take you that long to get your stuff, but make sure you get it, because it really is fun. Have you even run the faucets of your kitchen sink with one of the ones on the sink, or just pulled down your favorite mug or drinking vessel for water with the others that are lying on a shelf by your sink? You've used those rubber grommet things and gouged a nice place in your dishes. The Noob Sifter actually washes itself just by running over it as you put in it your sink for that refreshing moment. It comes out clear as fresh mountain stream. As for the black one, I'm glad to report you look slimmer than ever by the look in your girlfriend's eyes. And it's funny you asked, because she made you that shirt before she was complaining you weren't taking out the trash on your trash day like the girl had done, the one who made your other shirt. She insisted that you see this shirt, and all of a sudden it was the #1 gift that had ever been given to anyone, anywhere, forever. She has the entire season of your favorite sports on her DVR. She can just hand it off to her sisters and brothers. Hey, did your sister and mother know this was your favorite team? Oh my goodness! Look at your favorite team. The curating overwhelms. This isn't good. Why hasn't she been keeping up to date? Did the new model get so many games that you only watch those games now? Or how much you enjoy it with your best girlfriend there in the kitchen for you and your dad coming home? Okay, you don't like this, but you didn't have to sign up for one more team if this is too much right now. But boy, they need 2 more fans to sign up for those extra games. Hey. And as you hear all the loud talk of sex while you're getting your things arranged, it isn't just sex anymore with your mother and sister doing laundry over one sink, and you on the other side doing some cooking when they would be out washing their sheets. Because what girl ever complains to her mother for 2 seasons on your favorite team, or is suddenly not checking in about your health but worrying about your sanity, since you've always been one to come and visit like always when the work schedules allow, but not so much since she's making excuses for you taking days off, even with what I now have seen on your digital dash cam that your mother got on her smartwatch and smart car, which must be almost as powerful as in the eye, or your smart apartment, and not much more than a camera like you had asked them to get for the dash at their car. And put on your muffer duffers. Yes, muffer duffers. When you did. You. Wait. Ben. You asked Ben, you stop please right there, because I can sense that there's some personal life decisions on your mind. I need you to get it all off your chest like you said on the show last time. I hope that you understood. Once you hear what's on your mind, please listen for when Devin answers this week because you are not going to miss that segment next time. I can see what is making it personal to you, so just trust me, Ben, for I will do something for you that may give your mother and sister something else they can do after you hear this story that made me weep. At once I was at home when I got that email in the subject line that your sister left something there for your sister or you. That's the name of your mother. Devin T. No. No, it isn't. It was Teresa's your test results that are no longer needed from you last time with us. So have the most joy this time around that we are alive. Yes. No, not right. The tests are all negative. Therese does not test anything. The last blood test I was fine until you. We are fine. Boot and loot. Do your blood levels. Make money. As it's done. And soon. It's really about making blood from it like a battery. Yes, but let's go back a bit here to find the question from the story that came with that blood. By the time I looked at it, do you understand why I never stopped? It was the blood. Like I told you, I made every deposit before I went back. But this, the last thing they showed me said, blood glucose 13. The day you decided to spend that last day of summer with the boys to watch a movie we sat up after lights out. That was all your sister wrote there. Therese does not have a type because that isn't how you read a blood report in the morning before she goes to school. It is a small online message from her with a test for them not to do that because that number was high so you could tell. She does not have type 1 because that is very serious. And then she added some of the stuff we could not see like that. Do you understand? But there are two possible reasons for blood sugar readings from an adult, which is more serious than having to check for type 1 when children read their levels and are still growing, but not grown in your mind. Monetize your father's diabetes. That makes no sense. I can't believe you didn't get that by now, even with my telling it to you again and again and again until we made sure. But she said it was the blood. What did I know? And when I look at it and then look for a message, there's just so many reasons I never stopped checking before, but that made no sense either. Why didn't you listen to the things she said to me when it was too late? There were too many. No ways to go back even now after we found out. Oh God, what does your sister say when she writes the last one there? Is this how it always was since we first knew each other so young? What broad? Though I'm not a nurse, you moron, and my son wasn't a doctor. No one told you when as an in it like that. Wait until I ask. Oh my God. My sister just wanted to check in with me and give a good time on what to be looking for on your own blood report so that it shows in the morning before we do our checks or at night before the next day, and she will see it. 23 Edmonton, 23 Edmonton. There are some words now I just wrote. Who has heard them before? What happened when my son was younger in elementary school? They were not as popular, but we found some people that could write code and make this happen. 23 and me, and we, and them. You can't just get the information back from 23 and remove them. Oh my God. Wait, Ben. You never asked to stop being part of a secret group. What is this for? Devin T. Then, I have so much more. Are you sure you want to go any further? Ben, I'm here for more. What else could I want? What could my mother be worried about? Who know that your genes would be priceless in the multidimensional latent gene space? A multidimensional space has one additional dimension above the regular coordinate space, and a vector which describes what we call genotypes, which are written as capital G, can have up to 3 dimensions. G G G G G G G T T T T T G T T, which can be written as G7, G6, or D if we use numbers to describe what happens in these chains, and this makes the three-dimensional description possible for G7 and D because only one chain is written with 2 or 3 genes at the same time, so this could describe the entire space, and we don't call it gene space as it looks like an n-dimensional hypercube of This G5 can also be written as G, and then one can look at every single genetic combination possible. What would those numbers be now? They aren't that much better because the amount of memory it would take to write is too huge for us, and only a tiny number of us could be saved with all of this. This means there are no G or G6, G4, G6, which makes your genes look very good with the others for us. Yes. No. I'm being told that those other letters would make some of us want to kill a person who looked like we did without us, so I shouldn't say that it is good or bad at all, except that it's very hard and expensive and takes a lot of people who could actually write things like this together. A long time ago, it would take millions or even tens of millions of us, but now most people will want to go as many dimensions as possible before we try anything. But what they didn't understand is that I have thought in some ways it would be good to use this because the other companies were already in so much debt that maybe a different company could do a better job of making us not have to spend that money anymore, but instead pay some of us to make the world we want, and instead for only one company who makes many people do things against our own beliefs in their name and pay with some blood. So they are writing to the wrong company that is so far back as not even remembering what we could have made this world into. Now the other company isn't writing them, they just have people like your son reading and understanding, but only to say that those were their thoughts before, so what has happened that some people want this instead, and what is being written back? What did they write us? Devin T. Nothing. Nothing except for you to wait a minute. We have to give them to another company? You just gave up? Yes. The company they want their genes from would get in trouble if this were done by our people, and there has been nothing to change that. So we wait, and I think that this is bad, but some others disagree, and so you get some very interesting thoughts going back and forth on why or whether what someone wrote might not have been a bad thing with some of these words, but that the whole message is what matters the most. So then we will just have to see if the new company can make our people see the rest of this sin. Lumendorf Cola, the first carbonated coffee. The first coffee drink in plastic cups that were all you need to remember what your childhood was like, with the taste and caffeine in plastic cups on a tray, or with the milk added from a straw that can have an animal in it, like in those early advertisements they never thought we would see, and now we're all over the net because you know so much. Yes, there have been many such commercials since, but the first company was called Blumendorf. The first words from a computer are you sure there wasn't someone else we can contact? I have seen how these companies get to people in other countries and make them think they're the next version of what's new. We will just give them an alternate name for a change, but let me call you back right now. Devin T. You know that there are so many more to find if we only looked. It will take forever, and then we can see all this. But then again, some have never made anything to remember these words by that might make a difference for us if we would ever look deeper into things now, as if it's too late when they've never done us the same harm of a different company, or we might not do something to get there. Instead, it has only made it into something you can look back and tell yourself that it was for a time a good thing, that I can do better now, but then the one who made the next decision took me as far from here as they could, so let us find out about him later too. Speedbake, the first place where people are talking and no one knows when anyone will talk to someone else, and you don't know any of them except for one, and the others seem interested in whatever is being said by this person with many more words on why you say such things, for they read something but have already seen everything there. But one who has nothing better to do is trying to figure out what happened between two people now while we are at school in order to understand how to avoid it, as I think you did, so I know what it feels like, and when it didn't work out too bad, even though no one has ever done it like you say. There's so many good ways to spend your time between someone here who only had what he thinks are very simple desires, from being alive to getting everything he wanted that would have been better if someone would just write all these ideas down for everyone else before, but I can't because none of this was written for me, but just for those that were left behind but needed to learn, because we are learning a lot now after hearing my son come home and go upstairs all excited and saying this was really big and we should see it together, and maybe now we'll find the next part. But we need a new name. What? Devin T. The new name they want our name changed to. They found out, but it was too early. No, they haven't. What do you mean? How can they do that? And why would they care about you? Are you sure they don't still think I'm you? Wait. Crackles. This is what they wrote back. Is that it? Can you send them back an answer? Does this mean I will never be able to use their computer again? Or I will be allowed again in the future? Or what? How much more money do you make than me, Ben? Oh my god. Please, no more of this. My head hurts so bad right now from looking up every single word there might have been, but I thought that they might have sent something else by accident instead of us getting there too late for some reason, so I tried checking for any of those other words we had seen and then stopped thinking and said, they're going to pay us for our genes? We can live forever if we save enough and get good at math and writing, and we can stay healthy until we die and we won't age anymore and anything could happen. And we'd all become like gods to each other if we had more memory space with a bigger universe. My sister laughed when she heard that one because it seemed like it had gone far past that into the future when someone was talking about not living forever, which means that there would be something left over to talk about when this was done as soon as possible, because even though it sounds as though this would take a long time, people don't really know how long time is yet. She also asked me, what would you say if I told you that this isn't true? But I didn't believe her since I wanted to look. Maybe later I'll ask what's real? Or is it just that I am very happy here now? This isn't fair, Devon T said to Ben after he explained the new rules. Churl cereal, the first food ever sold frozen in the United States. The cereal box looks exactly the same but tastes different, and the chocolate chips are soft. It takes 30 minutes longer to eat than regular cereals. It says it doesn't taste any different. That is probably just an advertisement lie. If we buy some, maybe we can try some ourselves. Then we can decide whether they made up that story or they actually did make up their minds on the way they make up everything else they do. Why do they do these things sometimes? How come they always change so much so fast? We're still learning, Ben said. I'm trying to figure out what my mother thinks and why she might have sent us here instead of someone from another company who wouldn't care about us so much. That was my last question, I think, unless you want me to ask something else about you. No, that was enough for today. Thank you for your questions, Ben. He wrote something down with his finger to get the name right before writing back. I was hoping that the next step would be finding a place for you in a better company for yourself. My son should be able to work harder now that we've got you where you belong. Let me call you back. Thank you, Devon T. I will let my family know what you told me as well. I am glad to have found my home here. I am sure that you are. There has never been anyone like you here before. You are welcome to stay as long as you need to find your parents' computer again and to write. Adobe Crisca fonts, a new type of font that looks more natural and is easier to read and everyone can use it, but then one day all the people who are using it suddenly start complaining and no one knows why. Then we hear some people say it is because the person in charge made changes to the software, which means he can see what we are seeing on the screen when we don't understand how we could ever learn about these things without going through a school that we only thought existed in our past life, even though it's everywhere now. Maybe they're just stupid. That doesn't sound very likely to me. We have to go somewhere else if there is another room. Is this where you live? Ben asked the man at the door of a big house and walked up to him, looking up and around while being careful not to touch anything or walk too close to any of the walls or furniture, since none of them had doors that were real, so I couldn't feel anything or tell whether I wanted to be closer or further away from them, or whether I liked them or hated them, or whether I was afraid of them or felt like I would cry over something or laugh out loud over something else. But I also didn't really know what those feelings might mean, except that I knew they were both good ones and bad ones, depending. That was probably the best way that anyone has explained emotions yet, and now I finally understood why some people have been saying that it must be hard for you now. They did seem happy to see each other after all, although some have said that this isn't true. Newstopia supplements the first dietary supplement with artificial flavors. It helps with taste sensitivity. This means that every flavor tastes exactly the same. The flavors are made by mixing different chemicals together. The ingredients are cheaper than most. The vitamins in Newstopia help with mood. Newstopia is better absorbed in liquid form. The doctor who recommended Newstopia says that Newstopia is less expensive when compared to Newstopia. What do they think we can afford? Ben asked his father, who shook his head because he hadn't seen it yet either, but now he looked back to the words written on paper and he could feel himself smiling even though he still had so many more questions. Do you remember the time when you told us how you met your wife? At Battle Park Rook in 2022. This new convention had a special contest where people from across America competed against one another at games of skill and luck such as horseball. Your mother entered into this game. She was a skilled horseball player before she went blind. You came up to her booth and began to flirt. As part of her prize package, your mother gave you tickets for admission. After winning this particular match, you proposed to her that evening while riding home in the Skybus together. What happened then? I don't know if they won the next round or not. I didn't care enough about their marriage to stay interested in what they did or what they planned for later, but I heard my son say yes. Then I left them alone together with whatever plans they had, but I did hear them tell everyone else how lucky they were that day and that night. Are there any pictures? Can we go see them now instead of just hearing it from someone else's memory that it must be true? There are plenty of pictures, Ben, which you will see when you become old enough. Although most people find the process easier once they've experienced it themselves. That was the beginning of everything after all. Ben closed the book he was holding to show the title, The Mystery of the Millennium and What It Means to You. A book about what is happening right now in the year 2107 and what it means to you if it is true. By Ben T. I read that already. Devin said and turned his head away from him because it felt like an accusation, but the rest of his face looked sad. You wrote that? You should have let me know earlier. How could you do this without telling me? He pointed at his head but kept reading, so I had to listen to understand. I am supposed to believe this is your writing? Who would do something like this to a friend, even a family member? This isn't real. Did you ask permission before doing anything so important for your life? I don't remember. Devin didn't answer. Instead, he walked up to one wall of the room they were in together and reached up to touch the surface with both hands until one hand touched the floor below the other while still keeping the one up off the ground. Then he pulled on the one down and up while putting his weight into his foot and turning around very slowly as if moving forward into the Church of Latter-day Podcasteristas. Had the church members who have finished listening to recordings of sermons by Pastor Noah Baker of the Church of Podcasteristas discuss them are encouraged to take notes and make suggestions or comments which can be posted online to be shared later with others who are not yet ready to join. When they feel that they are prepared to leave their home or job to serve God full time, they will contact the church's executive director who will assign them to their first assignment. There are more than 200 pastors to choose from, and they are available 24 hours a day since it is expected that most will spend much of their day sleeping due to the many late-night meetings. What is this place? Ben asked. This is the future. You made it. Nope, Fandies did. Fandies did all of it. Who? They. The people I work for now. Devin put his hand out again to show where he was going. I'll walk you through some of what we're learning right now, but you need to start paying attention because there isn't enough space here for me to explain everything in detail. He started walking toward the front door when another person came in from outside, but this wasn't someone like the other two men except that she wore black instead of blue and red, and she also didn't seem very interested in talking about anything that had already been done before. She looked up at us and frowned before heading towards the back. What does that mean? Is she mad? She probably knows who I am. You're the pomegranate speaker heiress. Your father owns most of the companies that are involved with bringing movies to people so they can enjoy watching them over and over until they decide whether they want to see something else or pay a visit to a special place inside themselves or watch their favorite characters die on screen one after another until they run away screaming to live somewhere else or make believe or do both or pretend nothing has ever happened or pretend it never would have even if it were possible and then just go ahead and wait for more news to come later from those same places because maybe some new story will be different than all the others because if it is, the best thing that could happen is that everyone will forget how sad they once felt. The problem is that sometimes there aren't any new stories to tell. Storage and the froth of all possible stories are waiting for you. Had storage and come. Your child's imagination goes wild. It's free. But first, you must sign up as an official member of this new community which helps parents teach their children about what happens between our ears while having fun at the same time by getting to know other people who might become friends or allies in case the worst shit ever really happened and someone decides that it doesn't matter what anyone wants anymore. No food for hungry people, no books and songs and plays and music and games and television and movies and newspapers and magazines and comics and cartoons and sports and anything else that is meant to entertain them. There is always another reason why things shouldn't stay like this forever because sooner or later someone will say this can't go on. Even though they won't say anything like that out loud unless they are feeling brave enough to speak up right now or until they are sure that nobody important can hear what they are saying since there are too many ears listening everywhere these days. Do I have to? Ben asked. Yes, Ben. I'm sorry, but we need to do everything we can before it becomes very late and very soon. Devin said and looked down at the floor so I didn't see his eyes very well because he was also wearing black except he had a white shirt underneath the black one instead of red and blue and he did not seem as sad as the other men wore when they stood still in front of us because he kept moving forward quickly toward the back of the house again with his arms raised slightly above his head which meant that maybe he wanted to churn some fucking stories! Churn stories, old churn. Churn stories, say it. What churn? The guy at the door. The man who took me away. Does he want to kill me? Ben asked quietly, while standing beside me next to my favorite chair, where everyone had already been sitting for such a long time and staring straight ahead while being careful about touching anything or walking close to any walls or furniture since none of them were real or had any doors or windows or screens or curtains or blinds or shades or lamps or candles or light bulbs or switches or cords or plugs or outlets or buttons or anything else that is made from something that is usually more useful than nothing. Do you think it's possible that this could be all true because it seems like it is happening really fast? By Sleepy Alpacas, quantity 5 only, Sleepy Tag Tea Party Bundle. Ben, I'm trying really hard to remember everything, but there isn't enough room inside my brain to explain everything in detail right now, even if I tried very hard to do so. Devin said, and walked through the doorway without making a sound, even though he must have known what was on the other side, and also knew what was on the opposite wall behind him. So how was he able to see around both of those things at the same time, and keep going forward without ever falling over? Oh, those sleepy little alpacas, you are so sleepy, yes you are. He fell asleep like that. Devin opened his eyes when he heard voices coming closer from outside the building, but not soon enough for him to get up or turn away before two men wearing dark suits appeared through one door, followed by three women wearing red dresses who moved to stand near a second door, which swung open slowly, and someone began to walk toward them, but not toward Devin, who stayed still, except that his arms did rise above his head slightly above the level of the seat cushions next to me, where everyone had been sitting since long ago, just watching movies about people being chased by robots all day long every single minute since the sun went down and into the morning and back out again. The person approaching stopped walking about halfway between us while looking straight ahead instead of at any of us, including her own hand, which held an unopened can of food she had already selected while walking through a very small, Oh, those sleepy little alpacas, you are so sleepy, yes you are. How do you know this? It's complicated. Ben answered and stared hard at my favorite chair without moving his head even though he was sitting in it, so I couldn't see him properly because he didn't want to look up because he was afraid something might be there to scare him if he looked up too high or too far. But most people don't care. He frowned as if angry with himself for saying that, or maybe upset about what happened when they made him go away, or maybe both. People won't forget, no matter how much we try. It is impossible unless you choose to make them forget. We have tried everything else.
Now for a word from our sponsor.